We'll just give everyone a couple seconds to get on here.
Sure.
Perfect. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us over your lunch hour today for our webinar in sponsorship with EDR and the NSBA. My name is Jamie Polsom. I'm a program coordinator with WESC, and a big shout out to today's webinar sponsor, W Law. Our topic today is easy hacks for better social media, SEO, and email marketing in 2023, presented by Ashley Drummond from Wow Factor Media. If you have any questions for her as we go through the presentation, please feel free to put them in the Q&A box, not the regular chat box. However, do feel free to use the chat box to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your business. As always, this webinar is being recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing, and you'll receive an email tomorrow at this time with a link. With that, I will pass this over to Ashley and she will begin.
Awesome. Can you hear me loud and clear, Jamie?
Yeah, loud and clear, you're good.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you everybody for being here today, and special thanks to Jamie for inviting me and for having me put on this webinar for you guys. I know the time is limited for all of us entrepreneurs, so it's really awesome that you guys are having me, and I hope that you take a lot away from this webinar. The title is Easy Hacks for Better Social Media, SEO and Email Marketing 2023. I designed my webinars to be super digestible and actionable and efficient. So I hope that you guys are able to learn some great things that you can take back to your business tomorrow if you want. All right, so a little bit about Wow Factor Media. For those of you who don't know us, essentially we help businesses grow with strategic online marketing. A little bit more about us. We are Saskatchewan owned and operated. We are a women-led family business with a team of 21 working throughout Saskatchewan. We have offices in Saskatoon, Regina, and Moose Jaw, but we help everybody throughout the province, no matter where you're from, and also throughout Western Canada. And our team makes it our mission to help organizations excel with strategic online marketing. A little bit more about our services. So our main service here is social media marketing. So this is where my expertise comes from. We take businesses anywhere from startups to the mom and pop shop down the street to industry leaders in their space to the biggest brands in Saskatchewan and Western Canada, government of Saskatchewan, and the list goes on. And we handle their social media marketing strategy 100% here at Wow Factor Media. So that's the main thing that we do with our team. Also, we handle social media marketing training. So this is a big part of my job. I love mentoring. I help West through All Access. I'm part of the Scotiabank Women's Association. And then I also have several training courses through the RSTS program through the government of Saskatchewan, where small businesses can receive full funding for strategic social media marketing from Wow Factor Media. And I've trained hundreds of people throughout Western Canada. So this is what I love doing. We also do website design creation and graphic design. And a little bit more about me. I kind of told you guys all about that, but I'm the CEO of Wow Factor Media, formerly the director of marketing. I've trained hundreds of people throughout Western Canada. My team and I have created award-winning social media marketing campaigns. And the best part of my job is I get to work with business leaders and entrepreneurs like yourselves every day and help them achieve success with strategic online marketing. All right, so that's us in a nutshell. Again, I've developed this course to feel easy to digest and actionable. That's super important to me. As entrepreneurs, we have such limited time. And so we need to focus our time on the best things possible that are going to get us the most bang for our buck. So this is what this is all about today. You're not going to come away with a marketing degree or anything like that. Or, I mean, we're not the University of Saskatchewan, but we know our stuff and we know what Saskatchewan audiences want. And we have developed this around what is going to influence them and help your brands the best. So the 4 things we're going to go over are digital marketing in 2023, social media tips for 2023, SEO tips, and email marketing tips. So let's talk about digital marketing right now. What's going on? Okay, so these are some 2022 behavioral stats. I'm big on behavioral stats and like market data, because I don't know about you guys, but when I understand like why things are so important, it's so much easier to learn. So I'm hoping that when you guys hear these stats, you're like, okay, you know what, I'm all in for this little session, and you're more motivated and inspired to learn here. So number one, social media users have grown by 13% over the last year. This is a big jump. Even there was a huge jump when the pandemic broke out, and it continues to grow. In addition, they've grown by over 1 billion over the last 3 years, 57%. So over half of consumers will follow a brand to learn more about products and services. So people, when they're making purchase decisions or wanting to work with a business or a brand, over half of us are following a brand. The average user spends 7 hours a day on the internet. What that breaks down to, and it just, to put it into context, always blows me away. We spend almost as much time online as we do sleeping. So this is where we're spending our free time. And 81.5% of internet users searched online for a product or service. But more specifically about social, 42% and Canadian social habits, 42% of people in Canada use social to search for products, and 92% of social media users say they have acted in the moment after seeing a product in social. So huge, right? Almost all of us have made a decision after seeing a product on social, like whether it's purchasing, whether it's phoning the brand, whether it's sending a DM, whether it's walking into the store. But like almost 100% of us have been influenced by social by a brand. So what does this all break down to? What does it all mean? Social media marketing is essential for brands, no matter who you are. It's no longer an option. It's part of your business strategy, and it's amazing. It's the most efficient form of marketing in the world, and that's just not my opinion. The data speaks for itself. The analytics speak for itself. And so it's definitely something that we all have to focus on. So now that you kind of have a background on like what's happening in 2023, what happened in 2022, we're going to talk about the best hacks for social media in 2023. So these are like the top things that you guys should focus on for success, and I guess to spend your time the most wisely. Okay, so hack number one for better social media in 2023 is setting a goal and writing it down. Let's talk about why that's so important. Again, as an entrepreneur myself, and I work with entrepreneurs and business leaders and business owners every single day, the number one key theme, and you guys can probably all relate, is nobody has enough time to focus on everything. We're all wearing several hats. We're all dealing with different things every single day. So when we set a goal, which is the number one thing you can do to set a foundation, we're starting to save time, energy, and stress because we now have a clear focus. So that's why it's so important. Start there with a clear goal. It'll also make your content more consistent, which is huge for brand influence and brand recognition. And then also a goal gives you a purpose. So when we're involved in our daily business and we're kind of all over the map, when we have a goal, we're more inspired because we kind of know where we're going. And then also at the end of the month or quarter or whatever, however much time you put on your efforts for your campaign or for your goal, you can measure them. So that's also a form of like inspiration that you're kind of in the right direction. And measurability also always helps with respect to getting better or forgetting things that maybe didn't work properly. In 2023, social media should be treated as a core function of your organization, an essential core function, no different than your accounting, your HR, all the things that you need to run a business. Gone are the days of treating social media as an afterthought or a place to post random or promotional messages. So when we have a goal, we can easily create content that has a purpose instead of just being like, oh, shoot, I have a sale that I want everybody to know about it. I better put out a post, or, oh, we got a new product. I better post about that as well. That haphazard, opportunistic style of marketing doesn't work with audiences anymore. So I suggest that everybody sets a goal so that we can have a purpose and a clear focus for ourselves. All right. So how do we write that goal down? it's so important to keep it really simple, but really focused. The more focused your goal can be, the better. And it should have two pieces. So your first piece should be, what do you want people to do as a result of seeing your content, your social media? So how do you want them to act? Do you want them to buy? Do you want them to know more about you? Do you want them to follow you? Do you want them to walk into your store? Whatever you want them to do, that's a key component of your goal. Now, all those things that I just listed, you guys might be thinking, oh, I want all those. Resist the urge to say, I want my goal to be like all encompassing, because the more laser focused it is, the better it is, the more audiences start to understand it, and the more effective it is. So like, be as specific as possible. If you want to sell a product, tell yourself, okay, I want to sell this specific product, name it, exactly how much do you want to sell, how much time you want to give yourself to sell it, and how you want people to buy it, whether it's online or in your store. But get the details down just for yourself, so that every time you go to create content, it's reflective of the details and it's consistent. Consistency is key. When you're consistent with your content, your audience starts to recognize it and they start to act. And then the second part of the goal is, how do you want people to feel about your brand as a result of seeing social media? And this is really important, because people are more and more choosing to deal with brands that align with their own personal values, brands that they know, like, and trust, and brands that they kind of feel are part of like their digital community. And we all have so many choices when it comes to like who we want to deal with, or who we want to support, or what companies or brands we want to work with. And so the ones that are aligning with our own personal values tend to be the ones that we choose. So you need to also, in addition to how do you want them to act, you also have to think about how you want them to feel. Do you want them to feel like they can trust your organization? Do you want them to feel like you're a friend of theirs? Do you want them to feel like you're an expert in the space? Those two things, how you want them to do and feel, will make up a really good goal. But remember, keep it simple and keep it focused. All right. So hack number 2 for better social media: don't waste time on low ROI content. Okay, so how do we do this? I'm going to go through the best performing content so that you can spend your time on this kind of content and forget the stuff that is giving you a low return on your time. So number 1, real happy people doing real things in your photos and your videos will perform better than anything, hands down, anytime. People love seeing real people in action that are having a good time. So always keep this in mind when you're taking your photos and your videos. Gone are the days that stock is appealing to people. People can see it a mile away. Over-designed and over-polished posts are not as effective as showing your real happy people doing real things. On that note, if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, never be afraid to star in your own content. I know this is really hard for a lot of us to do. For me especially, I don't like it. But the thing about it is if you can, take baby steps at least to start to star in your own content, because people love supporting your business when they know, like, and trust you. And the best way to get them to know, like, and trust you is by showing them who you are and giving them a peek at your life and what it's like to run this business and who's behind the brand. These things will set you apart, and nobody, not a single, any of your competitors can copy this. So if at all possible, push yourself to excellence and star in your own content. All right. The other thing I want to talk about is the value and it's a necessity to have high definition, clear HD photos and videos. Now, I'm not saying you all need to go out and buy like the latest camera that's going to cost thousands of dollars. Phones work beautifully. But it's just not an option. You have to have high def. This is what people are paying attention to. And we can easily do it with our phone when done properly. You don't need to worry about over-designed, highly polished posts anymore, especially when you aren't a professional designer or you don't have access to a professional designer. I wouldn't even touch the design posts when real photos and real videos are the ones that are getting the most engagement. So be sure that you've got the right settings on your iPhone or your Samsung or whatever you use, and get your content to be as high def as possible. It'll really make a difference with people paying attention to your content and also the algorithms. All right. Also, let's talk about Reels. So this hack for better social media marketing is the _1. So if you guys don't remember anything else, remember about Reels. Reels, also known as, short form video, also known as Reels, have the highest return on investment of any social media marketing strategy. So you need to be including this in your social media. If you're thinking about posting a video or a photo, but then you could also spend your time on Reels, spend your time on Reels first. It's going to pay off the most. Now, the thing about Reels is there's many different ways to do them. So what I'm going to tell you is don't be afraid to try them. Some people are doing like some really crazy complex things, and you might be like, I could never do that, so I'm not going to try it. But my advice to you is to just dive in and start working on it, because they're very forgiving. So you don't need to they're casual. You don't need to worry about being an expert pro, and you also never know what's going to work. So if you do something and it falls flat, who cares? Do another one and keep going and learn from the past, and you'll get better over time, just like with anything else. Quickly, some best practices on Reels. So remember, the first 3 seconds count the most, because this will have people either staying or leaving. So you want real people, happy people in action in that first 3 seconds to grab people in if possible. Second, Reels perform really well based on like trends and following trends. So a big helpful tip is finding a trending sound and using that to lead the concept of your video. So if you're going through the Reels feature or Reels feed, I guess, in Instagram, and you find trending music, save that piece of music and use it on your reel in the future. And you're going to be earning a lot of reach and engagement from capitalizing on that trend. So again, just to summarize Reels, get started on them today. Don't worry about being perfect, and watch what's out there, because the more you see Reels and the more you use Reels, the better you'll get at them. All right. So hack number 3 for better social media: connect with people and brands daily on social. Okay. So now, just to explain this a little further, when we create, so the last part was all about content creation and like what we should do to better spend our time when creating content so that we can get more engagement and get more people to see it and influence more people. And that's half of the puzzle. The other side is being a community member and engaging with others, and not just making it about ourselves and look at us, what and showing off as a brand, versus also giving back to other brands and engaging with our customers. So that's the other side of it. And this is a huge piece to success, because the algorithms love when a brand is active on social. So not only just posting, but also replying back and making sure your DMs are taken care of and making sure you're commenting on others. The algorithms love that. So they're going to favor your page and your content is going to get a boost. But also people love that. People want to see that your brand really cares about the community and the people that are following you and engaging with your brand. And the best way to kind of sum this up for any of you who are familiar with the book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, that was written, I don't know, decades ago, but it's the same principle. You can make more friends in 2 minutes by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. So have that concept, have that mindset that social media is not just about getting other people interested in your brand. It's equally as important to be interested in other brands and other people. And that's how you're going to grow a community around your brand that leads to brand loyalty and bottom line growth. So a few tips on how to do this. Again, build a community for your brand by being interested in your followers and other brands in your community. So following them, showing genuine interest by commenting on their content, liking their content. And the comments don't have to be like some epic marketing strategy that you spent 10 minutes thinking about. It's literally just commenting like a human, no different than you would on a friend or a neighbor, and just casually chatting with brands and people on their content online. And then you also want to use social media as a place for customer service. This is super important. You always want to be engaging and responding and to comments and DMs. Since the pandemic, this has become a huge place for success for brands on social media, because instantly when the pandemic broke out, we were all like, okay, we couldn't go into brick and mortar stores. So we all shifted online to reach out to our friends and family, but we all shifted online to also reach out to brands. And brands saw a spike overnight of instant communication and direct messages. So what has happened because of that is customers have come to expect that we're present and ready and able to answer their questions, no different than if they're phoning our store during office hours. It's the same thing. And so this has opened up tons of opportunities for us. We can message back, we can show our personality, we can show we care about their business, we can answer questions. Lots of leads are earned this way. But the one thing I will caution you is you have to be there and be present, because if you don't answer their comments in real time during business hours, or their DMs in real time during business hours, you will have lost them, because there's a new expectation and a new level of customer service. On a side note, you'll see that bar on the right-hand side of the screen. And here's a little hack for your calls to action. So not only are people like feeling super comfortable DMing brands and stuff, and they're using it as a place for customer service, we're finding that using the call to action, send us a message, is one of the most effective ways to get people to contact brands nowadays. So before, when we'd be like, visit our website, or pick up the phone and call us, or come on into the store, those were all super effective. But the send us a message one is like super popular, and people get the brands that we work with get so much success by using this, because this is what I liken it to. So we all have that friend that we pick up the phone and we phone them, and there's no answer. But the minute we hang up, we send them a text and we get an instant response. And that's because we all prefer text messages now. We don't like the phone as much as we used to. And so when we're using the call to action to send us a message in our content, we're essentially opening it up for people to text us, and customers love it. They feel comfortable doing it. And the best part is you can start a conversation with them and start using your sales skills to get them past the finish line and earn a new customer. All right, so let's now move on to hot hacks for better SEO in 2023. And the thing that I want to outline here is SEO is a huge part of a digital marketing strategy. And a lot of search engine optimization tactics and skills do have to come from a really excellent website and a really excellent developer. And it's always something that you have to work on for your website. But since I doubt very many of us here are developers, I have focused on some SEO tactics that you guys can implement in your own strategies without having development skills. And they're really great. They're new, they're emerging, and you guys will be able to integrate them as soon as you want. All right. So hack number 1 is to SEO your Instagram content. So how do we do that? Okay, so before we talk about how we're doing that, I just want to tell you a reason why it's so important. So did you know, and I was actually really blown away to hear this, that the majority of Gen Z users, so Gen Z is like younger than millennials, so those people in their 20s, use social media as the number one place to search for products and services. So they're not going to Google like all the rest of us. They are going to social, number 1. Couple things. To dethrone Google is like impossible and like unheard of. TikTok did it for a minute, but I mean, Google's back on top. But I'm not saying that Google's going anywhere. Google is still the king. I don't see it going anywhere as far as searchability. So you have to focus on that. You want to be, and of course, the majority of the population still goes to Google as number 1. But the reason why I highlight that the majority of Gen Z users use social media as number 1 place to search for products and services is because it is emerging as a place that is an alternative, and also a place where they will also, in addition to Google, search for products and services. So Gen Z is number 1, millennials, Gen X, baby boomers, everybody else is also using social. It's just not the number 1. The rest of us are all Google, but we're all slowly using it and adopting it as a place to search for products and services. So we can't ignore it. It's no longer good enough to be like, well, I'm good on Google when you're not good on social. So how do we SEO our social? And a great way to start is with hashtags. So increasingly people are searching hashtags on Instagram to find products and services and brands. So here's the 3 kind of steps to integrate hashtags onto your content that will enhance your social media search engine optimization. So number 1, you want to think of the hashtags your audience might be searching for when looking for your product or service. So keywords, right? We've all heard of that. And then number 2, search the hashtag yourself. And then you'll see, so what you do is you just go on Instagram and you start searching the hashtags. It'll be like keywords for your product or service. And you'll see on there its popularity. Like it'll tell you like, okay, 50,000 people use this hashtag or 400 people use this hashtag. If it's a popular one, you know that's a good one to use. And then you want to include 3 on your content. You want to always include a broad hashtag, a niche hashtag, and geo hashtag. And this should cover you and make your post all encompassing. And so on the left here, I have an example of, say, if you were a coffee shop in Saskatoon, for example, your broad hashtag would be foodie, your niche hashtag would be coffee shop, and your geo hashtag would be YXE for Saskatoon. And when you think about like what people are searching, it would be like coffee shop or coffee. You could also include coffee if you want, but think of those keywords that people might be searching to find your product or service, look them up, and then include them on your post. All right. The next tip for search engine optimizing your social is adding alt text to your posts. Okay, so what this is describing your content in the background for a few reasons. Number 1, Instagram has come out and said that when you use alt text, your post will be favored by the algorithm. So that means it's going to be showing to more and more people. Number 2, though, when you describe it, the algorithms know what your content is about. So if there's somebody searching something similar to what your post is about, the algorithms are likely to put that post in front of them on their timeline. And so you're just enhancing, again, your search engine optimization. So there's 3 steps to adding alt text. It's kind of a little, it's kind of janky until you actually do it. But if you follow these 3 steps, you'll figure it out just fine. So you'll see the 3 dots above the photo in step 1. It says tap ... to edit. So you just tap that. Then you hit edit. And then what it'll do is it'll take you to your text box. Just tap that again, because when you hit edit, it thinks you want to edit your text, but you're not here to edit your text. You're here to edit your alt text. So you want to get out of your text box just by tapping it. And then what will appear is edit alt text on the bottom right corner of your photo. And then you just hit edit alt text. And then it's so simple. You just add a description to your photo. So for here, the example is today's webinar, and I'm just describing it as social media training in Saskatchewan, and I'm saving it. Nobody sees that but the algorithms and Instagram, and now they know what my post is about. The one thing though, for a good description is never put, this is a picture of. You don't need that. The algorithms don't like it. Just describe it in words exactly what it is. So 3 easy steps, and you might have to watch this webinar again to go over those, but very important anytime you're posting about a product or service to enhance your SEO on social. All right. So hack number 2 is update your Google My Business in real time. Hack number 2 for better SEO. So let's talk about that. All right. So everybody on this webinar will either have a Google My Business. So you're in 3, there's 3 cases for everybody I kind of meet. You don't have a Google My Business. You have one, you set it up, you put your information in, but it's just there and you don't optimize it. Or 3, you set it up, it's there and you optimize it every day. And so the key thing about, if you don't have one, go ahead and set one up. It's really easy. Just Google how to set up my Google My Business and it's so intuitive. It'll just walk you through exactly how you have to set it up. But most of you are probably in the second category where you have one, you just don't know how to optimize it. And that's what we're going to teach you here today. It's actually really simple to take your Google My Business to the next level with great content. So just a little bit of a background on how Google favors your Google My Business. They want to send people to the most relevant spot possible. They're all about customer experience and offering the people who are Googling the best experience possible. So it has to be highly relevant. So the more we tell Google about ourselves, the more Google can reward us by putting people in the right place at the right time because they know who we are. So number one, you want to cross-post your social media content on Google My Business. So anytime you post on Instagram or Facebook, a static post, so they don't accept videos, but anytime you post a static post on social media, you also want to post it on your Google My Business. And you can do this by logging in and posting an update. Really simple, but really helpful for keeping your Google My Business active and increasing your organic SEO. You also want to be sure to respond to all reviews, good or bad. Again, it's about keeping it active. You want to kind of build a community, a little community within your Google My Business. So someone sends a good one, thank them. Someone says a bad one. And on a side note, we always get asked, what do we do when we get a bad review? And it's nothing really it's a little concerning and it's also hard to get, but I will tell you that every single brand that we've worked with, some of the most cherished and loved brands in the province, maybe even the country, do get negative reviews once in a while. And it's just all in how you handle them publicly. So just a few little tips here, not much to do with SEO, but just how to handle those, because I always get asked that, is you just respond, thank you for your concern, please contact, and then provide them with an email address to contact you internally. So you want to bring the conversation away from the public as fast as possible, bring it internal. But also what's going to happen is when people are looking through your reviews, they're going to just see that, oh yeah, they have lots of good reviews. Oh, here's a bad one. And they're just going to see that you care. And that's usually good enough for people who are trying to discover if they should use you. So that's just a little tip on how to handle those bad ones. But all in all, the thing to remember here is always respond to your reviews. Next, you should ask your customers for your reviews, because the more positive reviews you have, the higher you're going to rank as well. So it never hurts to ask. Also, you want to be sure your website is connected, and you want to be sure your about section is up to date. So make sure that it includes like all the products and services you want to sell, and has a really great description for Google to be able to read and acknowledge and put you in front of the right people. All right, so that concludes hot SEO tips. Now let's go into email marketing tips for 2023. All right, so before we do, let's talk about some behavioral stats here. Email marketing used to be a really crappy way to market, and now it's emerging as a really valuable way to market again. So I just outlined some stats so you guys can like see what's happening right now in email marketing and why it's important. So emails are on average 40 times more likely to bring in new customers than social media. And this is because people who choose to be on our email lists are usually very much closer to the sale. They're past customers or huge fans of your brand. And so that's why they say 40 times more likely, which is a big number. That shouldn't be ignored. 69% of people who report an email as spam do so because of the subject line. So not only are they important, they're important to do properly. 77% of marketers have seen an increase in email engagement over the last 12 months. Using a subscriber's name in the subject line can increase email open rates by 50%. Mobile users prefer to receive brand communications via email. So that's huge, right? Because we know that the more people are interacting with us, the lion's share of interactions are happening on mobile, and mobile users prefer to hear from us via email. 59% of subscribers say that marketing emails have influenced their purchases. So over half, they've been super influential. So let's talk about it. Hack number one for email marketing tips for 2023 is letting MailChimp do the heavy lifting. So essentially getting yourself an email marketing partner. So the reason why, so there are lots of marketing partners, email marketing partners, and you might be using one that you're happy with, which is totally fine. I'm not saying you have to like switch to MailChimp, but I use MailChimp as an example, because to me, it's like the best with respect to ease of use. And like they have the latest and greatest tools to make it super easy, but also to make it segmented, specific, and relevant. And that's the key thing to remember, because just like social media, customers are expecting that our e-blasts to be relevant and to provide them with value. So they want them to be highly, highly relevant. And by using an email partner like MailChimp, we're able to make it super relevant. So let's talk about that. Again, sorry, this is on this slide. It allows us to make it relevant, but also allows us to personalize our email campaigns to maximize the relevancy. Okay, so relevancy and personalization are the key things to remember here for our emails. So how do we do this? So number one, you want to personalize your subject line to include a name. Using a subscriber's name in your subject can increase your email open rates by 50%. So within MailChimp, there's a tool where you can dynamically tell it to, in your subject line, to talk directly to the person using their first name and last name. And like, it might seem like a no-brainer, but just by using this little tip is going to increase your open rate by 50%, which is huge. And again, we want to spend our time in the most valuable way possible. We don't want to just put stuff out there that no one's ever going to look at or ever going to engage with. So it's important to use this little tip. Next one, and this one is like one of my favorite tips with respect to email blasts, and that's accept replies. So we're probably every single one of us here subscribes to some sort of e-blast, whether it's from like a big brand or somebody local. But you guys will notice that the big brands don't allow replies. And this is probably because they have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of subscribers on their email list, and they can't reply to all of them. It's just not efficient. But as small businesses, we have the advantage, we have the tools and like the smaller audiences to use the accepting replies to our advantage. And it's super important because your email subscribers are your fans and past potential customers. They're some of the most brand loyal people. So when we accept replies, we're just fostering that relationship. We're offering great customer service and brand loyalty that the big brands could never do. So this is like a little advantage of small business. Another thing that's super effective is taking it one step further and like prompting those replies. So not only just accepting them, but really pushing for them and asking questions to get your audience to engage with you and reply. And then similar to like the DM communication and social, you can start those conversations with your customer and get them closer to purchasing. Okay, so number 2 hack for email marketing tips in 2023 is showing subscribers your human side. And this is like a big theme in digital marketing throughout, whether it's your website, whether it's your social media marketing, or whether it's your email strategy. People want to deal with humans. Show the human side and the vulnerable side. It's your number one competitive advantage on social media and your email marketing. So always try to put that lens on, like, how am I going to show the real people or person behind my brand? So, and this is, again, because people want to support our businesses when they know, like, and trust us. And we can use our emails as a great place to do this. And brands are seeing like huge success instead of using like the highly designed templates in MailChimp and like putting in like a promotional photo and like promotional blurb, instead of using that to send an email out, it's more effective to send like a personal note from the founder or a personal note from whoever your brand champion is at your brand, and make people feel like you're speaking directly to them. Share things with your email audience that you would never share, that you're maybe not ready to share on social. Maybe it's like a sneak peek at a new product that you're thinking of doing or something behind the scenes. The more personal you can get with your email, the more these people are going to really appreciate your content. They're going to be more engaged. They're going to fall in love with your brand. And all these things add up to people knowing, liking, and trusting you, and leading to bottom line growth for your brand. Okay, so so here's these tips broken out for you, using your email marketing as a tool to get people to know, like, and trust you. So sending emails to your audience that are personally written by you and from the founder, or telling your brand stories. So sharing behind the scenes, sharing business updates, information that makes your readers feel like they're a part of your life, your business, and your community. So just instead of just sending out like a mass email that just is super promotional, get as human and as personal as possible, and as far as you feel comfortable, right? Like there is a fine line between like what you want to share, but this is a great place to build that like really intimate community, because as mentioned, your email blast subscribers are some of your biggest fans. All right, so that includes this webinar. I just want to summarize with a few things. Remember, our time is so limited. We want to spend it in the best way possible. So we want to focus on the most efficient things possible when it comes to marketing. And so that's what this webinar has outlined for you. Follow those tips and you're going to have a lot of success, and you're going to be able to spend way less time trying to figure things out. Next, simple and direct marketing is the most effective for small businesses. Keep it human, keep it simple, be yourself, and always put the best interests of your customers first, and you will win. And that's it for me. Thank you everybody for your time. I know it's super limited. It's been a pleasure. And now we'll open up to questions.
So we did have a couple questions just in the chat box. So the first question, the stats at the beginning of the presentation, were those Canada or were those global?
They're global.
Perfect. We had a great comment from Haley, just as a consumer, to make sure you're checking your messages because if you're not responding, you're losing your customers.
Absolutely.
Another question, is there a limit to hashtags to include?
Yes. So everybody, this is such a tough question, right? People are always asking this. And you've seen, there used to be a trend where people would include like 100 hashtags on their posts. And the latest best practices are keeping it simple to broad, niche, and geo, and like 1 or 2 of each, because the problem is when you add too many, you're watering down like the strength of the ones that really matter. So just focus on quality over quantity.
Perfect. Then we have another one. Someone would like you to go into a little bit more detail about alt text, but at the same time, someone would like to know if you recommend going back to old posts and adding your alt text, or just doing it moving forward.
Okay, yeah, I see those here. Okay, so alt text, it is kind of like a brain scratcher the first time you try it, because the minute you hit edit, it just goes right into your text. So just tap that, and then you'll see the alt text appear on the bottom right-hand corner of your post. So this is being recorded. So what I would just recommend is just go through that explainer that I did in the presentation again. And if anyone's stumped, like I have no problem, just email me. We can walk through it together. You should be able to do it by going through those steps again. I know it was super fast. And then for the recommendation of going back to old posts and adding in your old text, I don't know, like not like the really, really old ones, the algorithms aren't probably paying attention to anyways. If you're talking about something like last week, it might be valuable, but for sure, moving forward, you want to add them.
Perfect. Did you want me to read out the questions, or did you just want to go through them?
Yeah, so I got them up here, so I
Perfect.
can do it if you like. What is a good amount of dollars to spend on paid ads? How do you choose ads to pay for? Oh, this is such a loaded question. It depends on your target audience mostly. So like how the size of them is really going to matter of how much you should spend. And then how do you choose ads to pay for? Specifically, we only focus on paying for ads that are highly focused on the initial goal. So if you think of the #1 hack is to set a goal for yourself. If your post or your content facilitates that goal, that's a good indication of something that you'll want to put money behind, because it'll help you achieve your goal. When you do ads through Facebook and Instagram, and then you put in your audiences, they will recommend amounts based on like the size of your audience. So that's kind of like a good rule of thumb to figure out how much you could spend. It's such a loaded question because like, depending on your industry or like your marketing budget, like the options could be endless. So, but I hope that helps as a good starting point. Okay. Can I get a copy? Yes. So it Dawn is being recorded, so you'll be able to watch that later. Betty Forbes. Hi, Betty. If you have to choose one social media to use, are you saying it should be Instagram? So good question. I always say you should choose a hero platform, but that is going to be largely dependent on your brand and your industry. Most users are on Facebook. So for most brands, their hero platform is Facebook, but I always recommend that no matter what brand you are, you focus on both Facebook and Instagram. It's just that you can cross-post your content on Instagram because if your hero platform is Facebook, because it's maybe not as important. Instagram being your hero platform is important for if you have like a younger millennial or even just millennials in general demographic. Gen Z, Instagram is huge. And then you might shift. You might be like, okay, Instagram is my number one. You can still cross post on Facebook, but I'm going to put most of my efforts into Instagram. So it just depends on your brand, but you shouldn't ignore either of them. Both need to be part of your marketing mix. Best hack to build your email campaign. So many people seem to not want marketing emails and newsletters. Yeah, exactly. We're all being spammed by them, right? So you kind of have to find like a quality way to add value for your audience. And it's really hard for me to like make recommendations of like the best hack to build because it's going to really depend on what your offerings are, what your brand is, what your business is. But follow the lead of being as personal as possible on them, and then also adding as much value to your audience as possible on them. And when you're trying to build your list, talk about it on social. Say, hey, I have a new e-blast coming out that'll give you this value. Sign up here to learn more on my e-blast. Or yesterday's e-blast offered a sneak peek at our new spring sale. If you guys want to be a part of the e-blast, please sign up. So just be sure that when you're asking people to join your email list, that you're telling them what's in it for them. And yeah, and it never hurts to ask. Just tell them like, hey, here's what you're going to get by coming on here. And it's really valuable because I've made it personal and I've made it so that there's a benefit to you having them. There's no benefit in just like spamming a bunch of emails that are like 10% off, 10% off, 10% off over and over. Like people want to be entertained by you and the brand and also show value. So use those two key pieces and then ask people to join via social, giving them little like hints of what it's all about. And I think you might see an uptake. That was for Tammy. Okay. Amanda, time is limited. If you only have time to start with one, which one do you recommend first, Insta, Facebook, or Twitter? So depending on your industry, Amanda, Twitter is number one for ag. So if you're in the agricultural industry and your target audience is people in agriculture, so like farmers or producers, things like that, Twitter is the best place to focus. And that is it. That's the only time it's the best place to focus for Saskatchewan audiences. For Facebook, if your audience is older, so later millennials like myself, Gen X, and baby boomers, Facebook is probably going to give you the most impact and give you the most brand strength, I guess. And then Instagram, if your target audience is younger, or if your brand is highly visual, so you've got like some really beautiful products, then that would be your number one. But it's hard for me again to say it unless I know your brand, but those are kind of the key rules of thumb. All right, so Tammy, what email company is better, MailChimp or Constant Contact? I'd say they're probably like about the same. I don't like, they're both trying to compete and kind of doing the latest and greatest things. I just love the ease of use for MailChimp, but what I would just do, like, just Google like what are the differences between MailChimp and Constant Contact, and then like somebody will have blogged about it, and you'll be able to see like which one suits your brand better. All right, I said questions in the Q&A. Okay, sounds good. Leanne, very informative. Thank you. I love a company. Thank you, Leanne. That's nice to hear. Pascal, thank you. I like you kept it simple and straightforward. I learned a lot. Thank you for saying that, Pascal, because that's my biggest goal, is like to make things feel simple. Sometimes the most complicated things feel simple, and I work really hard on that. So thank you for saying that. Pamela, what is the best social media engine for posting across Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn? And is there a free software for that? So Pamela, yes, there is. Hootsuite has a free version. There's lots, but I would say Hootsuite, it's a Canadian company, and they do have a free version that you can use if you only have like a few profiles. So definitely check out Hootsuite. Did you mention there's funding available for female? Yes. So back to the RSTS grant. So what we do is we provide in-depth social media marketing training. We have 2 courses that is now funded through the Rescale Saskatchewan training grant. There are a few parameters. So you have to be Saskatchewan owned and operated business, and somebody who is on payroll has to take the course. So whether you have yourself on payroll as a business owner, or you have a staff member on payroll, they qualify for full funding. But the exception is if you're not on payroll because you're a business owner, but you have a staff member who's on payroll, they will fund you both if you take it together. So a couple little rules there, but honestly, I've trained now, I don't know, dozens, if not close to 100 people throughout Saskatchewan, and it's become one of the most popular programs through RSTS. So anybody here, I welcome you to reach out to me, and we can chat about at least getting you to apply to see if you qualify, because most people are getting approved. All right, so Aurora, what's your take on using the same content across several social platforms? Should content be created specifically for Instagram and Facebook? Excellent question. So here's why I say, like, choose your hero platform. So whether it's Facebook or Instagram, you want to pick the one that best suits your target audience, and that should be your primary focus. So whatever one you're focusing on, you're creating your content for those best practices first. But you also want to cross post on the other one, and then you can just make minor tweaks to optimize them. So for example, if you're an Instagram first brand, you can post your photo on Instagram and create your copy and your hashtags exactly for Instagram, but you don't want to miss out on Facebook, but you don't want to reinvent the wheel. Just take that post and make simple tweaks. So the imagery will be just fine. Anything that works on Instagram will always usually work on Facebook. And then for your copy, Facebook allows you to have calls to action with like a direct link to your website where Instagram doesn't. So you can tweak it that way. You can get the direct message button right embedded. Facebook hashtags are less important. So you can just make those like tiny little tweaks that'll make it better for Facebook. And then on the opposite side for Facebook, if that's your hero platform, go ahead and post for their best practices. Designs are okay on Facebook. More copies okay on Facebook. Calls to actions are okay on Facebook. Hashtags less important, but then take that and put it on Instagram and be sure to include your hashtags. So just cross post, but always focus on your hero platform. And your hero platform, remember this, it's not what you like to do. It's not your favorite platform. It's the one that your customers are on most. So just be careful there when you're choosing your hero platform. Let me see here, just scrolling down. I'm not really sure where I'm at now. I've kind of lost it by hitting the down arrow. Cross-platform, that was Aurora. Thank you. Hannah, thank you for coming. Susan Clark, thank you so much. Your tips were helpful. Thank you for saying that, Susan. That's awesome. Christy ends an hour well spent. Thank you for taking time to coach us. Thank you so much, Christy, for the kind words. And Betty, thanks, Ashley. Great content, excellent content. Thank you so much, Betty. I always love working with you. Tammy, this was super helpful. Simplest social breakdown ever. Yeah, you make me smile. Thank you so much for saying that. Haley, loved all the hacks information you shared. Thanks so much. Thank you, Haley, for coming. That's awesome. What about copyrights for using trending music? Shauna, okay, so this is emerging as something that's actually like they're getting really sticky with. So brands don't get to use trending music as much as like personal accounts, but save the sound and post it on your video for your brand, and you'll get a notification right away if you're not allowed to use it. But some are the trending ones are pretty flexible, especially if you see brands using the trends over and over and over, then that's a pretty good indication that your brand will be fine using it. So just try to find the ones that brands are using, I guess, and then go from there. Okay, Hannah, please, what course is that and how would I get into it? So Hannah, if you don't mind emailing me, Ashley, ASHLEY @wowfactormedia.ca, and I can email you more information on that. And I welcome anybody to email me as well, and I can send you more information. So Ashley @wowfactormedia.ca. I'll just send that in the chat for anybody who's interested. All right, so Shauna, that's where we were at. I'm just scrolling up here. Shauna, what program to use for content management and photoshopping your camera photos and videos? Okay, so content management, Hootsuite is a good one, as mentioned before. And then photoshopping your camera photos and videos. A really great app for your phone that's super easy to use is called Snapseed by Google. It'll allow you to like remove objects from the background, take out backgrounds, add like a glow to your photo, and like soften things up. It's really great. Also Canva is really great for editing photos and videos. So check those two out. Good question, Shauna. Amanda, thank you. That was amazing. It touched on all the information I've been fuzzy on as a new business owner. Thank you so much for sharing, Amanda. That is super inspiring to me. Denise, thank you so much. The tips and hacks were informative. Thank you, Denise. My pleasure. Farah, thank you for coming. Tammy, thank you for coming. Bianca, clear and actionable. Awesome, Bianca. That's what I go for. And that's it. So, oh, my email didn't show up. Hang on. Ashley @wowfactormedia.ca.
I got it in there for you.
Oh, you got it?
Ashley.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciated all of your great questions. That's awesome. It means you learned a lot, and I hope to see you. I hope we cross paths someday.
And we
Thanks,
thank you, Ashley, on behalf of Wes. Thank you. And everyone who is still here, this will be up on our website by tomorrow if you do want to rewatch it, but I believe you do get an email out as well. So thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.